I'm going to confess something that might shock a lot of gardeners. I don't compost anymore. No turning piles, no hauling kitchen scraps, no arguing with rats, no waiting 6 months for black gold, and honestly, my soil has never looked better. If you've followed soil stories for a while, you know I'm obsessed with healthy soil. Compost used to be my religion. I built bins, layered greens and browns, turned heaps every weekend like a fitness routine. It felt responsible, sustainable, proper gardening, but after years of sweating over piles and still ending up with half-rotted mess or nutrient-poor compost, I realized something important. There's an easier way that works faster and feeds the soil better. Today, I want to share the lazy trick that completely changed my garden, and why I'll probably never go back to traditional composting again. Let's be honest with ourselves. Composting sounds simple, but in reality, it's work. You collect scraps, you balance carbon and nitrogen, you turn the pile, you water it, you cover it, you fight flies and smells, you wait months, and sometimes, it still fails. Too dry? Nothing breaks down. Too wet? Slime. Too many greens? Stink. Too many browns? Slow decay. For busy gardeners, especially those of us juggling work, family, or small spaces, composting becomes another chore instead of something that supports the garden. I reached a point where I thought, why am I pre-composting outside the bed when nature already composts directly in the soil? That question changed everything. Instead of making compost in a pile, I compost right where the plants grow. No bin, no turning, no waiting, just this. I chop organic matter and drop it directly onto the soil surface, then cover it with mulch. That's it. Nature does the rest. This method is often called in-place composting or sheet mulching, but I like calling it the lazy gardener's compost system, because it really is. Whenever I weed, prune, harvest, or clean the kitchen, nothing leaves the garden anymore. If I pull weeds, I chop them into smaller pieces and lay them flat on the soil. If I trim kale or tomatoes, the leaves go straight under the plants. Kitchen scraps like vegetable peels, fruit skins, coffee grounds, or crushed eggshells get buried lightly or covered with mulch. Then I add a layer of dry material, grass clippings, straw, dry leaves, or old hay. That cover is important. It hides scraps from pests, controls smell, and keeps moisture locked in. After that, I walk away. Worms, fungi, beetles, and microbes take over. No turning required. Here's the science that made me fully switch. When you compost in a pile, nutrients can actually be lost through heat and evaporation. Nitrogen escapes, carbon burns off. But when organic matter breaks down directly on the soil surface, everything stays right where plants need it. Nothing gets wasted. The soil food web eats first. Worms drag pieces down. Fungi spread underground. Microbes digest and release nutrients slowly. It's slower and steadier, exactly how plants prefer to feed. Instead of a big nutrient dump, like finished compost, the soil gets a continuous buffet. And that's how natural forests have worked for millions of years. No compost bins in the wild, just falling leaves. Within one season the changes were obvious. My soil stayed moist longer even during hot days. I watered less. The ground became darker, softer, and full of worms. When I pushed my finger in, it slid through like cake. Weeds reduced because the mulch blocked sunlight. And my plants. They grew like crazy. My sukuma wiki had thicker stems. My tomatoes stayed greener. My managu and spinach looked like they were on fertilizer. But I hadn't added anything extra. The garden simply started feeding itself. That's when I realized I wasn't saving time by skipping compost. I was actually improving the soil. One thing I love about this method is how flexible it is. Almost any organic material becomes food. Leaves, weeds, before they seed, vegetable scraps, banana peels, maize husks, coffee grounds, tea leaves, crushed eggshells, grass clippings, prunings, all of it goes back to the bed. Even cardboard or paper can be laid down as a weed barrier and soil food. Nothing wasted. If it once lived, the soil can eat it. That mindset alone changed how I garden. I stopped seeing waste and started seeing future fertility. But what about smell or pests? This is the question everyone asks. Here's the trick. Cover everything. Always top your scraps with dry mulch or soil. If food is exposed, animals notice. If it's hidden, they don't. When covered properly, there's no smell at all. In fact, my garden smells fresher than when I had a compost pile cooking in the corner, and because decomposition happens in small amounts across the bed, nothing attracts attention the way one big pile does. If you're gardening in a tiny backyard, balcony, or rented space, compost bins can feel bulky and messy. This method removes that problem completely. No space needed. Your beds become the compost system. Even a single raised bed can recycle all your kitchen scraps. It's minimalist gardening at its best. More than anything, this method taught me to stop fighting nature. Composting felt like controlling the process. This feels like cooperating with it. Instead of collecting nutrients, storing them, and returning them later, I simply never remove them in the first place. It's a closed loop. Garden to harvest to scraps to soil to garden again. Simple, calm, efficient, very Soil Stories style. To be fair, compost isn't useless. If you're starting brand new beds, reviving dead soil, or farming at a large scale, compost can still help. But for everyday home gardening, for most of us, this lazy method is more than enough. Less work, better soil, healthier plants, that's a win. If you're tired of turning piles or your compost never seems to finish, try this for one bed. Just one. For a month, don't throw anything away. Chop it, drop it, cover it, watch what happens. Feel the soil after a few weeks. Count the worms. Notice the moisture. Your garden will teach you faster than I ever could. At Soil Stories, we're all about simple natural methods that work with the earth, not against it. If this lazy compost trick helps you save time and grow better food, you're going to love the other practical soil hacks we share. So subscribe, share this with a fellow gardener, and let's keep building healthier soil together, one story at a time.